Hey class, so this is the orientation for week two fall 2023. I got in my car today about 3 and the temperature gauge said 129, which is unspeakable. 129 degrees. It cooled off to 118 by the time I got home. I'm sure you've had similar things. Anyway, unbelievable. Okay, first thing. I have the syllabus and you can see it if you're looking at it, and if you're not, it's not a problem. Just listen carefully. There's a change to the syllabus. I'm actually taking away work, not adding work, by the way. There's no fresh air interview. The interview that I posted on the syllabus, it's not happening. I just decided that it didn't work as well as I wanted it to do, and so I'm Xing it. So don't worry about that, or don't concern yourself about the fresh air interview. It's just I'm not assigning it to you. So just X that. Forget about that. The other thing is that the reading for this week on the syllabus, it says chapters 3 to 5. And what I meant to say is I want you to read chapters 3 and 5. So you only have 2 chapters to read this week, chapter 3 and chapter 5. Okay. Gwen kind of messes with the chronology of his book. He doesn't start at A and go to Z. He kind of jumps around in time. And that's why I'm assigning different chapters, because I'm trying to have you read the book chronologically. So chapter 3 and chapter 5, they talk about those chapters talk about the Spanish period, and especially the relationship of the Spanish to the Comanche, which you're going to learn a lot about this week. So again, the fresh air interview, don't have to do it. It like it didn't exist, and you only read 2 chapters this week in the Gwyn book, The Empire of the Summer Moon, chapter 3 and chapter 5. A reminder, the Gwyn book is on a PDF on the homepage of this course. It's also available at the library for 2 hours reading. You can go to the reserve desk and you can get the book for 2 hours. And then of course, some of you might have purchased it. I think it's a pretty amazing book. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now let's go over the module. And here's the course module. And I want to talk about the podcast lecture for this week. Here's the outline. There's a very, very extensive outline for this week. Again, I highly, highly urge you to cut and paste that outline if you can. It just everything I put on an outline, I feel very comfortable quizzing you on or testing you on. And it's also in the outline that I put in the details that students often hate about history, which, names and dates is kind of the shorthand. Anything I put down on the outline in terms of those details, I feel comfortable testing you on or quizzing you on. Otherwise, I'm not big about making your life miserable by digging deep into a podcast or a text and pulling out on a quiz or a test some obscure detail. That's not the way I teach. But like I said, the outline, anything goes. So here is the podcast lecture, and it's a long lecture this week. If you can, I would divide this podcast lecture into 2 or 3. Now, I know for a lot of you, it's impossible. I know you have very busy lives. You're teaching, not teaching, you're taking other classes. You have jobs, many of you have families, many of you, and I know that and respect that immensely. So what I'm suggesting may not be possible, and it's not a mandate. But I do think if you can, it will make your life easier. So what I would suggest is that you listen to the first 9 podcasts as a unit, because it talks about the Spanish settlement of Texas, how the Spanish finally start focusing on Texas. There's a 150-year gap between De Vaca and the Spanish settlement of Texas. And I explain why that is in the podcast, so I won't do it here. So I talk about the Spanish finally paying attention to Texas in the late 1680s, why that was, and the consequences of that, which are with us to this very day, right? I mean, the Spanish language, just the language of Spanish, the Roman Catholic Church, the names of rivers. I mean, the reminders of the Spanish period, especially, well, especially if you live in San Antonio. San Antonio is just from the Spanish period. They're really everywhere. So anyway, first 9 podcasts talk about that. Then the next podcast, about the next 4 podcasts, talk about the experience in San Antonio, the 5 missions that were created in San Antonio, their history. San Antonio becomes the most important, by far the most important community in Spanish Texas. And of course, San Antonio is still with us to this very day. I think it's the 7th largest city in the country. So anyway, so I talk about the experience of the missions in San Antonio. I talk about the experience of the indigenous people that went in and out of the missions, why they chose to do that, what their motives were, what their relationship was with the Spanish. We have a much better understanding of who they were and what their relationship was with the Spanish, much more of a much better understanding than when I was an undergraduate. It's actually kind of incredible, and I think it's a very, very interesting story. And one of the key extra credit in this course is if you go to 2 missions, you'll get the extra credit. So anyway, if you ever go to a mission, you'll have a much better understanding of the history of the missions, which I think is always a good thing. And then the rest from podcasts 13 to 15, that's my introduction to the Comanche in Texas. So basically, if you have to divide it, or if you can divide it, I would go 1 through 9, and then podcast, and then the rest of the podcast. Don't worry about the titles. There's a couple of I go from 9 to 11. I just misnumbered it this morning, and I just can't go back and change the numbers. You're not missing anything. Listen to the podcast in the order that you see them here. There's nothing missing. There's not a podcast missing. I just misnumbered it, and I apologize for that. So I would go, if you can, go 1 through 9, and then the rest of the podcasts after that. Okay. Let's see here. Let's back to okay. So let's go back to the module. Then I posted maps. I highly recommend you look at those maps. I think they'll really help you understand the story I'm telling. It'll help you understand the space that the story that I'm telling occurred in. You don't have to pore over the map, but if you take a couple of minutes, it'll really help you understand the material in this course. And I just love maps. I think they're beautiful. Then beginning with number 3, I give you an orientation to the book you're reading this week, the chapters 3 and 5 of Empire of the Summer Moon by Gwynne. I have about a 20-minute podcast where I highlight the details in that book that I want you to know, and what I'm going to test you on, which is right here. I have 2 short documentaries. They're about 6 or 7. Well, one's 9 minutes, and I think one's 5 minutes. They're very cool short documentaries on the Comanche that I know a lot of students are very visually oriented, and I think you'll really enjoy these short documentaries, and it'll give you a sense of, really how extraordinary the Comanche were. The Comanche were the most powerful group in Texas from the 1720s to about the 1870s. It's an amazing story. Then I have a couple of images. I have you're going to read about the destruction of the San Saba mission in the 1750s, and there's a cool picture. I misspelled Comanche. I have to go fix that before I post this. This is from 1765. This is a image that one of the priests that was killed at San Saba, his brother had this painting made. And actually, this painting is in Mexico City, but it was in San Antonio a couple of years ago, which was very, very cool. And then there's another image about showing from the 1840s showing Comanche hunting. So take a look at these images. I think they're very interesting. And again, they'll give you a better sense of the story of the Comanche. And I think that's it. That's it for the orientation for week 2 of fall 2023. As always, email me if you've got any questions. Just a reminder, you're only reading chapters 3 and 5, and Gwen only 2 chapters. You're not listening to the podcast by Gwen. I didn't think it really worked that well. I've decided not to do it. So anyway, any questions, please get in touch. I hope your first week got off to a good start. Oh, I guess the last thing, you won't be, I'll post the quiz on week 2 next Tuesday. Normally I would post it next Monday. I'm recording this on Sunday night. But next Monday is Labor Day, so I'm not going to post it on Labor Day. I'm going to post it a week from Tuesday. So I'll put that in the announcement that I give today. So anyway, I hope I'm not confusing you with too much detail. If I've confused you in any way, please get in touch with me and I'll clarify. Okay, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you have a good week, and let's just hope to God it cools off at some point. I don't know. Okay.